What's up guys, Mario teambeige here, and today we're back with another video, and today I'm bringing you guys a regional deck profile for a regional that I bubbled. So part of the reason I wanted to do this video is one, it's kind of like the end of Rota form, well, at least like Rota format as we know it. We're about to get crossover breakers, which is going to be an absolutely broken set with the introduction of Yugioh, and Malice is going to be an interesting archetype as well. But the deck that I'm doing a profile of today, I think is still going to be relevant after crossover breakers. I think it's just dependent on ban list for obvious reasons. But for the regional, I played Snake Eye Fire King. The regional, I forget how many people it was. I think it maxed out at like 400, but it was like 300 and some. It was top 32 for invite to Nats, and I got 34th. So I was like really close, and I was kind of frustrated about it because of Tenpai. Where my last two losses, where I otherwise beat Tenpai like twice today. And I think I played relatively well. I actually hadn't been to a regional in quite a while. I've been to like a couple YCSs this past year and Nats as well. But I just wanted to share the deck that I played and give you guys my thoughts and kind of some of the things I would change. So again, we played Snake Eye Fire King Azamina. I think I've been loving Fire King since it's been out. It's just been like I'm just so happy Volcanics is here. I'm gonna not talk super hard about ratios and such unless something interesting comes up, because so yeah, like 3 wanted, 2 witch, 2 deception, 1 hollowed, 1 original. This is like fairly standard, I'd say. I was trying like lower counts of witch for like zombie vampire. I don't think I played a single Fire King mirror, which is interesting. I played against 4 Tenpai, 1 Snake Eye, 1 Snake Eye Visas, Starfrost like pile deck, Fiendsmith Kashtira, and then it was Millennium. I played against Millennium, Fiendsmith, and then 2 more decks that I'm blanking on right now, but my losses were in round 3 to Fiendsmith Kashtira. I think the guy got 3rd at the regional, and then in round 7. So I basically was winning. I lost round 3 to Fiendsmith Kashtira. I played the rest of the games, sure, fine. Round 6 or 7, I then lost to Tenpai, and then round 8, I lost to Tenpai again. So it was very unfortunate. But like otherwise, like yeah, like these ratios were fine. No reason like to change anything. I didn't want to like clog up on witch or deceptions, and it was also just a good siding pattern. 3 Volcanics and 3 Kieran. These cards were great. Sometimes felt like I had like 1 too many Kieran at sometimes, just from like, I'm seeing if I can adjust my light real quick to see if it can not be so annoying. But anyways, yeah, so 3 Kieran was like sometimes an issue, where I would draw 2 and then like no engine. So that was actually how I lost the Fiendsmith Kashtira game, was just basically like not really opening. This was after, like during YC, or the day after YCS Bologna's day 1. So that was kind of interesting. That to see that deck at the regional. 1 Ponix, obviously, 1 Arvada, 1 Garunix, and then 1 Garunix. I didn't really draw like too any of the like this a lot. Like it happened, but I don't think it was like too consequential. Some of it was kind of just weird engine hands of like double Kieran or like something like that. And then I played 1 Sanctuary and 1 Fire King Island. Obviously, you know, it's pretty standard. I usually sided out like a Sanctuary going second. And I don't think I like sided out too much engine. 3 Bonfire. Actually, though, speaking of that, I did side out 1 Bonfire going second, as well as a wanted sometimes because I've been playing Thrust on the side, which you'll see. 1 Snake Ash, 1 Poplar, 1 Oak. We're just going to put these down here so you can see them better. 1 Flamberge, pretty standard. I drew Flamberge like a good ton, which is kind of frustrating. Poplar as well, when you draw with Bonfire, is like kind of the worst. You kind of need Witch to be able to extend that. Or 1 for 1. 1 for 1 was fairly decent. The whole reason I played it was because I just wanted a way to kind of like pivot between engines in like depending on interruptions. I think it saw Dominus Impulse a couple times, but it also just was a really easy card to side out going second, which was really nice. For the non-engine, I played something fairly standard. So I played 3 Ash Blossom, 3 Flawless. These cards were broken, like, obviously. 3 Imperm. 3 Dominus Impulse. I didn't see it too much at the regional, but it was a great card in this. And then my last, like, 13th through 15th hand traps were 2 Valor and 1 Crow. So my idea with Crow was I wanted something good going second. Because also if they destroy, you play Dark in the extra. So if they destroy the Dark, you have something to search. And also just Crow is a good card to top deck. I almost played Droll, and I think I maybe should have played Droll. I'm not entirely sure, because sometimes Droll it gets like a little awkward. I think Droll is better going into Crossover Breakers. Like next week, but Valor was like pretty okay. It like wasn't high impact. I don't think I played against a lot. That was sometimes the issue with some of these with at least like these bottom 3, and I think that's the issue I'm having with just in general when I was building this deck, was like these like last 3 hand traps sometimes are just a little bit weird into covering how wide the format is. So like Valor is great if you're going into like some of the Snake Eye stuff. And then Crow actually sort of hits everything. It's kind of goofy. I played more on the side, which you'll see soon. But it just wasn't worth maining 3. And like Droll would have been great for like some of those, like I think maybe the Cashier deck would have been fine, but that deck also does really well into Simplified Game State. Part of the reason I lost against that was I did a play that like played around Ash, Imperm, and like Nib, but the problem is it then got me Drolled. So like Droll's really impactful into Fire King, I think, if you have to start like really awkwardly, unless you have like Volcanics and a Fire. So because like all weekend I was going Volcanics, Pop Fire, I'd Grunix, because it's just like the better play to do to play around Droll. So like it was pretty okay, but as far as like if I had to change this, maybe I would swap these bottom 3 for Droll. It kind of depends. It also just depends on like what happens with Crossover Breakers, because I don't know, Dominus Impulse kind of loses its potency with Ryziel, but it's really good into Malice and like Fire King, and it also is actually pretty good into Tempai. So like it's really weird what like to do in the next week or so. Partially why I wanted to get this profile kind of sooner than later, right before Anaheim. 1 Murcielago, 1 Ilia Sylvia, you know, pretty standard. Like these were great. In some of the mirrors, I went Dark Take there, Ilia Sylvia. 1 Anima, 1 IP, 1 Silent Wolf. This was great for grind game. 1 SP, 1 Hida, 1 Dark, 1 Princess. I think once I did have a situation in which a second Princess did come up, but I don't know if I would have the space for it. 1 World Sea for the OTK, 1 Raging Phoenix for the OTK. Ambler Whale. Ambler Whale was okay. It's like kind of your very minimum, like, end piece, but it's like fine. And then for the XYZs, we played 1 Zombie Vampire, 1 Grunix. Both of these were great. The Grunix helped me go for games sometimes on turn 3 rather than like making it on their turn. And then I usually did Zombie Vampire pushes just to get information. I was against Tempai, I was able to go Zombie Vampire, summon something, and then go Flamberge, put their guy in their grave in their spell trap, and it basically turned off their Lightning Storm, which was minus an interruption. And then I think the best choice I made for the extra was maining the Fuko. I think maining Fuko was really good, just because it gives you the advantage against shifter decks game 1 or like Molcharmies, which is really good because Fire King like can have a lot of engine to make pushes. And so if you just have what you need on the following turn within your hand traps, I think Fuko was the MVP. I'm so glad it was in the extra rather than the side deck. Now for the side deck, playing 3 Perulia, the other 2 DD Crow. These were both great. I don't know if I saw Crow a lot, but it was like it was good. It was good in the matchups it came up in, and Perulia was just fine. You know, like I think there was my round 1. I basically got like 7 draws off a double Molcharmy, which is crazy. 1 Called by the Grave. This was good to have in the side for shifter or just problematic cards. Skyburn, so I wanted to play this just as a searchable spell trap hate and something to do under like Molcharmies. It was okay. Against Tenpai, I actually got into a grind game where we were both top decking and bricking, and I drew this, and I think if I drew a piece of engine, it would have helped, but I did win that match. So it's like, you know, it's whatever. 2 Cosmics. I put these in a couple times for some floods. I think there was like a Secret Village for the Millennium guy. Shouts to him. And then like this also let me hit some weird, and like in the grind game, it's against Tenpai, I hit back row. Like Cosmic was pretty alright. It was pretty okay. I was glad this was in there. And then I played 2 Thrust and 1 Talents. These were fairly okay. I think I used Thrust more than I did Talents. And then for the targets, I then did 1 DDG and 2 D barrier. So, okay, D barrier was like kind of, this is gonna sound crazy, D barrier was kind of ass. I played DDG just because for like blowouts with like Yubel, because if you DDG, they basically can't do much. It's not great in Fire King to set because it's one of the last things you want to do is to then DDG, but it's just like so just eh. The problem with D barrier is, at least that I had, was when I used it against Tenpai, they would basically just create a lot of bodies, and it's like some of them were going like Promethean Princess with like Doolittle Chimera, so they're boosting up their guys as well, and they just get bodies to like do things. So like I kind of wish I did have a threatening roar. It doesn't stop them from getting to Bident and Transcendent, which is the problem. Or like if they get to Ruddy, like Ruddy is a big problem for this deck. So I kind of wish there was a threatening roar in here somewhere. Just for like that situation of being able to use both. But I think going into crossover breakers like this upcoming week, you have to play D barrier for Ryzeal. There's like no thought about it. It's just like it's a mandatory like thing you have to play 3 of. I guess it's just then a question of if you do Thrust and with the D barriers, or if you go like Thrust, or if you do D barriers and roars for Tenpai plus Ryzeal. And then considering like Malice and everything. But actually, also before I quickly end the video, I want to show you guys a quick siding pattern that I did for this weekend. So into like combo decks, what I ended up doing was 3 Perulia, the 3 Thrust, the Talent. I'm gonna put the Crows here because it like depended on matchups where it was relevant. But so we did this, and what I typically took out was the 1-for-1, a Bonfire, the Sanctuary, and we took out a Deception, a Wanted, a Witch, a Wanted, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and then if it was Crows, like sometimes the Crows came in over some other hand trap that was maybe like less relevant. Like sometimes I swapped the Veilers out for the decks that they basically did nothing against, or like the Cosmics. I'll put the Cosmics up here too. So it was like Cosmic or Crow could swap in for Veilers depending on if Veilers were relevant. But if like the if I wanted to keep the Veilers in, then I think like the last 2 cards I swapped in was, I think I maybe cut down on an Volcanics and a Kieran. I don't necessarily remember, but I just remember, shout outs to Mo. Mo was the one who like really helped me kind of like figure out some of this deck when I was like talking to him about it. But I just remember texting him that day being like, dude, whatever we talked about for ratios, like it basically worked, at least as far as siding. Because like really, aside from the game that I had with the double Kieran in hand with original, yeah, it was like double Kieran, original, Deception, and a hand trap. So it was like, I don't think I was winning that game regardless. And then the top decking war against Tenpai. Other than that, like I think this deck was super consistent, so it was great. So anyways, guys, hope you guys enjoyed the video. Let me know what you think in the comment section down below. Again, I know this wasn't kind of like a big feat of being able, you know, we didn't win anything, we didn't top, which RIP, but I kind of just wanted to do this profile for the sake of like, just to kind of give like final thoughts on the deck, things maybe I'd change going into crossover breakers, because also Fire King, like assuming we don't get a ban list, I think Fire King's actually still really strong. Malice just has a really good matchup into it versus like Fire King being able to do like the engine pushes into Ryzeal, which is really nice, unless they have Dweller, like exactly. So this is a deck I may still consider playing depending on the ban list, but anyways, like, favorite, subscribe, and I'll see y'all later. Peace.